Whenever you're ready, Summer.
Okay, I'm pulling up the agenda right now, but welcome everyone. This is our October 25th College Advisory Board meeting. This is our second meeting this year. I am Summer Brown. I am the chair of the College Advisory Board. And yeah, we can get started. So first, we'll just start with our roll call.
Summer Brown.
Here.
Nathan Wong.
Here.
Nathan, did I pronounce your last name correctly?
Yeah.
Okay. Asia Melton. Joseph
Kelly,
Cott.
I'm sorry, may I interrupt, Kelly? I'm sorry.
Sure.
When you do roll call, could you please also state the name of the school with each person's name? Sorry about that.
I could, but I don't have them listed that way. So you guys will have to help me out. I know that Summer is Winston-Salem State.
Yes.
And Nathan, you are
Forsyth Tech.
Forsyth Tech.
Yeah.
Asia is Winston-Salem State 2, I believe. Joseph Cox, near Winston-Salem State as well, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Osir Black.
Here.
Are you for Forsyth Tech?
Yes.
Okay. Sid Subramanian, and he is Wake Forest, and he's not here. And that's me. I am Salem College. Rebecca Lassiter. And I'm sorry, I don't know where Rebecca is. She's one of our new Wake Forest, isn't she?
Yes, and she's requested an excused absence.
Okay. Justice Purnell.
She's requested an excused absence.
And I see Kaylee Kimmerer from UNCSA is here.
Yes, ma'am.
And Rohit Lila Ram. Okay, I think I've got everybody. Thank you.
My apologies. I missed Sid and Asia both requested an excused absence as well.
I'm gonna move those down.
And so, Madam Chair, at this point, you could ask if there is a motion to accept the request for excused absences, and then you will need a second to that motion, and then you will ask for a roll call vote. Because you're virtual, you have to do a roll call vote for the yays and the nays, okay?
Okay.
Let me make sure I have them all correct, Jamie, before we do that. It's Rebecca, Asia, and Sid.
And Justice.
And Justice. Okay, thank you.
So I proposed the motion, right? Yes.
You asked if someone would like to make a motion to accept the excused absences.
Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion to accept the excused absences?
Yes.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, someone needs to second the motion.
I second that motion.
Okay. So the unexcused absences are approved. Do we need to do the roll call vote for the unexcused absences?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Summer Brown.
Yay.
Nathan Wong.
Yay.
Joseph Cox.
Yeah.
Osir Black. Did I miss somebody? Osir, you're on mute.
Yay.
Thank you. I think that's everybody that, and me, yay. I think that's everybody that's here.
I was skipped.
Oh, I'm sorry,
yay.
Kaylee. I missed you. I'm trying to get all the names in the right places. I apologize.
Okay, so
And Kelly, when you vote, well, I'm sorry, when you vote, make sure you state your name as well, okay?
Okay.
Thank
And that was Kelly Morrison, yay.
Okay, so then it's been approved for the unexcused absences. So we could just move on through the agenda to general business.
And while we're pulling up that agenda for Madam Chair to begin, I would like to take an opportunity to introduce to you all Dr. Ronnie Christian. Dr. Christian is our department's new Assistant Director. So he is the Assistant Director for Human Relations / Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. That's our department, as you know. And so we're really excited to have Dr. Christian with us. And so.
And Wanda froze, so I guess she wanted me to introduce myself. Hi guys, hope you guys are doing well. Again, I'm Dr. Christian, so I am looking forward to working with you guys. I worked in human relations some time ago with Wanda and the human relations team. So I'm just very excited to be back. And I have a real passion for working with our youth in the communities. I served in the school system, as a matter of fact, as a principal, assistant principal, and some additional roles. So again, just happy to be back in human relations and looking forward to working with you guys.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And what is the title again? The Assistant Director of
Human Relations / Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion.
We'll just put DEI for right now. How's that?
HR / DEI. Sounds good.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome again. So in regards to general business, our first thing that we need to discuss is our committee meetings. So everyone just needs to decide exactly which committee everyone would like to be on. We do have committee chairs. We just didn't choose exactly which committee for everyone to be a part of. I think we might have a little trouble with that only because I feel like we only have committee chairs here. Well, I think all of the committee chairs are here, but not everyone else is here to choose a committee. So for now, I guess everyone here can just pick the committee that they would like to be on. I'm pulling up from last week. Oh, okay, never mind. Jamie's putting in the chat what everyone is. There is, oh, okay, here we go. So for our public relations is Nathan, government relations is Osir, and our community relations is Joseph. These are our chairs for each committee. So I do also have a question. Is there a specific way that we need to all choose committees, or can it just be like I choose first and you just go like that, just go down the Zoom screen, I guess?
Sure, you can do it that way.
Okay, and everyone does need to choose the committee, right? Like I do still need to choose the committee.
Yes.
Okay, no problem.
Yes, that would be awesome.
Okay, so I would like to be on the community relations committee. Yes. So next would be Kaylee to choose.
I would like to be on the Community Relations Committee as well.
Okay. So that's 2 people for community relations. Kelly, would you like to choose next?
I'll do government affairs.
Okay, no problem. And everyone else are chairs for the committee, so they have already chosen. So I do want to make note that there were people who weren't here to choose committees. So should we just transfer that over to business for next meeting, or is there a placement that we would like to do, or is it just we want everyone to be able to choose their own?
Well, ideally, it would be great for everyone to choose, but we will see how that works out, I think, at the next meeting, because we do want every committee to have representation. So we wouldn't want just the committees to only have chairs and the onus fall just on the chair people to do everything. We want to make sure that it's spread out and fair. So we'll give it one more try, maybe. What do you think? Is everybody okay with that?
I definitely think that's fine. Kelly, is there any way that you could let me know exactly how many people are members of the advisory board?
We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that have not chosen a committee, and 5 that have.
Okay, so there are 10 of us. Okay, 10 split between the 3. Okay. All right, yeah, that's fine.
And if you take out your 3 chairs, then you've got 7 people left to distribute, and we've done 5 of those.
Okay, cool. All right, no problem. I just want to make sure it would be some sort of a balance in choosing the committees. Since there are already 2 people who are not, like excluding Joseph, since there are already 2 people who are in community relations, I think in regards to the committees, I don't think we should have like 5 people in one committee, and then that's just not as balanced as it should be. So I would say 3, 6, and then 4 in the last committee. So just one committee will just have an extra person, but our first goal should be to even them out. So we'll start with 3, and then whoever the last person is to choose, they could just pick whichever committee they would like to be on. Yes, everyone, are we cool with that?
Yeah, and keep in mind that we had some folks last year that didn't attend meetings at all. So
Okay.
You may find that you have someone who may not be as engaged, and you can just place them on a committee.
Okay, that's no problem. I think we should just give it until next meeting, and then whoever shows up to that next meeting, they pick their committees. If they don't show up to that next meeting, then the committee will be chosen for them.
And Madam Chair, you would also have the option of asking that person's school to replace them.
Okay.
Because you
no
all
problem.
have a short tenure on CAB, yeah. So, that's something to think about as well.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Well, that is all for committee meetings. Well, actually not committee meetings, but for actually building the committees. We haven't discussed exactly when the committees will meet. I do have a question. So the committees are responsible for meeting outside of College Advisory Board time.
Outside of these meetings, unless you all decide that you would like to take some time during these meetings to have your respective committee meetings, you can also do that.
Okay. So I will actually leave this a little more open to the chairs, and I would like for it to be more of a discussion rather than, me just deciding what we do in regards to committee meetings. Would you all like to be responsible for just getting with your committee and picking out a day to meet? Or, well, let me say this. For the committees, you will have to meet outside of College Advisory Board, official College Advisory Board meeting times. But would you all like supplementary time in our meetings as well?
And now those committee meetings, just to be clear, they're considered College Advisory Board time as well. So they're considered CAB time as well. So technically when you all have your committee meetings, because you're modeled after the city council. And so that when you have your committee meetings, a member of the staff should be included in those meetings so that you all, whatever time you're meeting, during hopefully, between the hours of 8 and 5, or like we said, if people would prefer to just carve out time during your regular CAB meetings each month to maybe go into breakouts. I don't know, there are different ways maybe that could be done, particularly on the virtual platform. So you would have that option, you would. It's just up to the committee chairs.
Okay. Well, committee chairs, you all can share your thoughts, and I think we can all come to a general consensus about what we would like to do. Anybody can start.
I don't have a problem meeting outside of designated college advisory board time. I have a pretty open schedule on certain days, so any day would work. It would just depend on everybody else. I agree, as well as staff members' time as well, just to make sure that everybody can be free for their schedule, because I want to be respectful of everyone's time and class schedules and work whatever else they have going on with life.
I would also like to meet outside of these regular meetings.
Okay. Well, chairs, I will leave it up to you all right now to at least give a time for now. What time, like what day and time you all feel like would be best. Two of you all don't have a committee right now necessarily, as in you don't have other members of your committee. But I just do want to decide a time just so that next meeting we can present the information to everybody else who isn't here to give them a better perspective about what they should be, what committee they would like to pick.
All right, so I have a question. So our meetings for this, are they set up like, is it like the fourth Tuesday or the last Tuesday of every month or something like that?
They're monthly, but it's on the last Tuesdays of the month.
Okay, so I think for our meetings, I believe that not for just our regular or our general CAB meeting, but for like committee meetings, I believe that a good idea would be to have them maybe, I would say like the last Thursday, because I know that a lot of schools, it goes Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Tuesdays and Thursdays classes are, on the same schedule. So I feel like maybe like have this meeting, and 2 days later, we can have our meeting for our committees, or maybe around the same time.
I do think that's actually a very good idea. I do feel like maybe it would be best to meet the Thursday before our CAB meetings, because next thing on our agenda is committee reports. And I'm assuming that committee reports will be expected to be shared in our general CAB meetings. So because of that, I think it may be best to just meet on maybe the Thursday before. But I do think you were thinking very well about the Tuesday, Thursday schedules.
I like that.
So I would say the third Thursday of the month? Is that what that would be? Or just the Thursday before our CAB meetings?
I would probably say the Thursday before our CAB meeting, just because of how months differ.
Okay, I think that's pretty good.
Just a logistics thing. If you all want to meet at the same time, I can send the Zoom link, and then I can put you in, groups, so we could do it the same, and then I would put you in your groups to have your meeting.
I think that would actually be really good. I think it would just save us a lot of time, and if we could just all kind of do it together, but in our separate breakout rooms, just to have the meeting all at once. So we are all in agreement for the Thursday before our CAB meetings to have our meeting. We'll have our committee meeting. Yeah,
should I make a motion for that? Well, I motion to make the Thursday before each CAB meeting the day for our respective committee meetings.
I second that motion. And we just have to go through everyone and then we'll be finished. Kelly, can you go down the roll, please?
Yes, ma'am. Give me just 1 second to get back there.
No problem.
Summer Brown, Winston-Salem State.
Yay.
Nathan Wong, Forsyth Tech.
Yay.
Joseph Cox, Winston-Salem State.
Yay.
Osier Black, Forsyth Tech.
Yay.
Kaylee Kimmerer, UNCSA.
Yay.
And Kelly Morrison, Salem College, yay.
Alrighty. So we will have our committee meetings the Thursday before our CAB general meetings. Wonderful. Now we can move on to committee reports.
Madam Chair, you kind of did that. I think for this month, we can say that what you all just did would constitute the committee reports. Is that what you were going to share, Jamie? Okay.
Is there any way that we can just provide a little more information on the expectations for committee reports?
Sure. Well, committee reports would just be brief overviews of what your committee is working on. And so those of you who, for instance, are working with public relations, for instance, maybe you would have an update about the newsletter. And for community relations, maybe you would have an update about anything that CAB is working on out in the community that perhaps maybe it would include updates on how things are progressing, the status of whatever the project at hand may be, you know, that kind of thing. And then for government relations or government affairs, you all would maybe talk about when CAB is planning to collectively attend a city council meeting. You usually attend a city council meeting each semester, once each semester. So maybe you would talk about those dates or ask CAB if they would like to vote on a date for all of you to attend together. Government affairs would also be responsible for any presentations that the officers would not be doing. So for instance, if Summer is not going to be doing a presentation before City Council, then it would be up to government relations / affairs to help to identify who would be doing that presentation on behalf of CAB. So that's just general overviews, but you don't necessarily have to be that brief, but I just wanted to give you an idea of the types of things that you could report on. Nothing detailed. You don't have to have a report per se, like something written. It would just be something where you would just give overviews and summaries so that Kelly could note that for the record in the minutes.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think if you look at the regular meeting minutes, if you haven't had a chance to look at them yet, if you look at those, you'll see that we pretty much keep it pretty high level.
Let me. Okay. Yes. Okay.
Something I think would be helpful is while we're going through the meeting is if we had the agenda posted so that we could all see it as we go through it. I don't know how we could do that in the background, but it would be nice to be able to access that quickly and easily during the meeting.
Someone could share their screen.
Yeah, Jamie usually has it in chat.
Yes. Jamie did put that in the chat. It's there.
Okay. Yeah, we have been advised that when we are aired, that we don't share the screen for the whole time. Like there are times when we will share the screen, but not for the entire meeting. So we'll just put it in chat.
Thank you, Jamie.
Sorry. So next, we have National League of Cities Community of Practice on addressing the basic needs of post-secondary students.
That was a mouthful, huh?
Yes.
But you did it beautifully. And so you're welcome. And so the National League of Cities project, just to give you all a general idea, some of you may have an idea already, but what this is a part of a grant that the city of Winston-Salem received from the National League of Cities. And this grant is focused on what's called community of practice, a community of practice grant. So as a part of the statement of work for this particular grant, the city actually suggested that the College Advisory Board work on making sure that needs of post-secondary students are met, and that any barriers that would prohibit post-secondary students or college students from fairly accessing food and affordable housing would be examined by this particular board. And so you will see on the screen that Jamie is sharing, you see what we call the blueprint for Winston-Salem. And this is a nationwide grant, and it's only granted to cities, so city governmental entities. And one of the things that we wanted to focus on for the blueprint for Winston-Salem as a part of our grant proposal was addressing food insecurity, and the other piece of that was housing affordability and access. And the last couple of cabs have been working on this, and you all are the group who will be wrapping it up. So it's time to wrap this particular project up. So what that means is, in the past, your predecessors looked at things like getting feedback from students on barriers to both housing and food. And so there was a survey that was done that the College Advisory Board actually created and disseminated. And the survey has been disseminated already, we know, at Winston-Salem State University. And the reason for that is Winston-Salem State was the lead university for this particular grant, because stats have shown that students of color tend to have the biggest challenges when it comes to housing affordability and access and food security. And so because of that, the National League of Cities encouraged the city to work with Winston-Salem State, since Winston-Salem State is our local HBCU, to lead on addressing these matters. Now, it's not to the exclusion of the other campuses. It's just that WSSU is the lead campus on following through with this particular grant. So you'll see again on the screen, we looked at things like lack of student feedback for barriers as one of the identified barriers. We looked at off-campus student housing close enough to college campuses, the availability of off-campus student housing and student income in relation to that, zoning laws, and purposely built affordable student housing. So your predecessors explored all of these areas in partnership with working with the City of Winston-Salem, the Piedmont Triad Apartment Association, and some other community groups to see how could housing be addressed in terms of affordability and access. And so what has happened since all of that was planned out, the City of Winston-Salem actually created something called the Housing Justice Act. And so it's a local ordinance or law that pertains to affordability and housing, but it also prohibits discrimination in certain areas of housing, like source of income. And so since that was created after we had already laid the blueprint out for CAB to address affordable housing for college students, it was suggested last year that we explore a way in which the Housing Justice Act can include student housing so that we can make sure there's not discrimination occurring with student housing, people who live off campus, and also to make sure that any affordable housing projects or plans or developments that would be undertaken under the city's umbrella would include student housing as well. And so that is where we've left off. So we added the Housing Justice Act, as you can see on the screen, for availability of off-campus student housing. And that has really become a very central and focal part of the housing piece of the grant. And so you all will be charged with following up on looking at ways or suggesting or recommending that the City Council consider amending the Housing Justice Act to make sure student housing is included in some way. And so that is resting with you this year, because that's where your predecessors left off. So any questions about that part of the grant in terms of the housing piece? So we will need some of you, hopefully, to volunteer to wrap up this housing piece. There are 3 components that need to be wrapped up. So this is the first. The second component is about food insecurity. And that touches on making sure that college students have access to food. Now, some people, of course, if they live on campus, they're going to have their meal plans and all of that probably taken care of. For those who live off campus, we learned from the survey that there are lots of students who do experience food insecurity, primarily because they live off campus. And of course, with the peak of COVID, a lot of college students lost jobs that they might have had that helped them to make sure they had enough to eat, and maybe their families who might have been helping to support them through college, they might have lost their jobs as well. And so that really stood out as a big problem for college students. And so your predecessors worked with our local farmers market to see if there was a way that the farmers market could partner with campuses to make food more accessible and more affordable, meaning that for those who have meal cards, for instance, they could perhaps use those meal cards at farmers markets so that they could get fresh and affordable food, so that would help to address any shortages the students may be experiencing. And so that is where we left off there last year with CAB. And so this year you would be charged with following through with the farmers market to make sure that that was something that could be finalized and wrapped up, so that there would be a lasting and permanent way for students to be able to use the farmers market as a resource for food. And so in a very big nutshell, that's what this grant is about. And that is the extent in which CAB has been involved over the last couple of years. So we're at a point now where we need to reduce this information to a report format, and the results of the survey need to be reduced down to a report format as well, including hopefully charts and graphs or whatever way you all think would be a good way to relay this information back to the City Council and back to the public at large in terms of what CAB has been working on and what those results look like. So that's where we are with that. So the work, really, most of it has been done. Now you're just at that point where you're just concluding it. You're wrapping up those loose ends and making that information reportable. So any questions right now? And I know that there was a conference recently that the National League of Cities held, and it tied in with this grant actually. And I know that a couple of you were planning to attend that grant to represent the College Advisory Board. I know we should have at least one person, maybe 2, who attended. So if anyone did attend the recent NLC conference, would you please brief everyone else so that we can tie that in as well?
Asia was the one who went, Asia Melton from Winston-Salem State University, but she's not here. I do think that we will be able to get a report from her at our next meeting.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. So what questions do you all have? or what clarifications can I make? And you do have a copy of that blueprint that Jamie shared on screen. She emailed it to you shortly before the meeting. And so if you haven't had a chance to really take a look at it, just make sure you do so that if you don't have questions today, that doesn't mean you won't have questions after the meeting. And so you can always email us, or we can address those at your next meeting.
I have a question.
But the goal is to have the report done by April, no later than April, so that you all can share it with council.
So for our like for those 3 parts, I know you have food insecurity. Just for clarification, what were the other 2 parts?
There were 2 parts to the grant. One was food insecurity, and the other was housing affordability and accessibility. So it was a 2-pronged focus for the grant: housing and food.
And the third thing was the report, breaking it so that there was three groups of people. So that third group was to actually focus on the report. And I just want to follow up with everything Wanda has said, hopefully ease some of your minds, because that is a lot of information. I'm here to help you. So I have been here for the past few years working with Wanda and CAB on this project. And we're not going to throw you to the wolves or send you to the city attorney's office. I will be there every step of the way, however you need help with it. We just want your all's idea and your input, and for it to be a college voice coming out on that report.
I do also have a question. So for the actual report itself, that is a compilation of all the information that we just looked at?
Actually, the report itself is it'll touch on what you just saw in those specific areas. So when we're talking about the farmers market, and also when we're talking about the Housing Justice Act. But there is also the survey that CAB, I mentioned earlier, that CAB developed, and we have the survey results. And so it would be a tie-in with that too, to basically say, as a result of the survey, we found that there are definitely barriers to housing access and food access. Here is the data. And so we'll have that to share with you. And so all you would have to do is just take all this information and format it in a report. That's the biggest thing. The information is already there. And then of course, to tie up those loose ends, to make sure that we have a firm plan with the farmers market to work with college students. And then also with the Housing Justice Act, Jamie mentioned the city attorney's office, and what she meant by that is that you all would be working with the city attorney's office to make sure that that mention of student housing could be somewhere either in the body of the Housing Justice Act, or as some clear understanding that student housing is included in the interpretation of the Housing Justice Act. Because the Housing Justice Act talks about discrimination, but it also talks about affordability, housing affordability. So if you all know that you have an interest, like if you think you want to be a part of formatting the information and working on the report and what that would look like, then we need you to let us know that. If you're interested in working with the farmers market and trying to get that part of the report pulled together, we need to know that. And then the same thing with housing. If you want to work with the city attorney's office and try to get that information reduced down to a reportable narrative, we need to know that as well.
I also have a question. Is there a specific farmers market you're talking about, or are you just talking about one in general?
Great question. Great question. Jamie, did you want to talk about the specific one? We do have a specific one.
Sure. So we do already have a commitment to the partnership from the Fairgrounds Farmers Market. So we have a contact there that we would just partner with you all, and then also with WSSU in general, because that's where we know we can do that partnership and make sure it gets on the ground. So you all would just be really focused on being the middle person to make sure it happens by the time we report out that, yes, this is a program that we do officially have going on.
And let me clarify, Jamie, the staff would be the middle people, because CAB would be the lead, because this is supposed to be a college-led, college-driven effort. So we would be the middle people in that we would be your liaisons, like Jamie mentioned earlier, how she'd be able to help. So that's where we would fall into this, is making sure that we're linking you up to what you need and to whom you need.
It kind of feels like some of these align pretty closely to the committees already. Maybe it's a committee thing that we divide this by. The government committee, obviously for the housing, public relations, probably for the overall report. Doesn't mean we can't all participate, but at least that would give us a driver for each piece, and maybe then community relations could do the farmers market piece. It just seems like they kind of line up.
Yes, I agree. I think that would be a very good way to split it up. And of course,
we've got all three of our committee chairs here, and we could.
Kelly, I think Madam Chair had the floor, then you can go, okay?
Oh, no, Kelly was fine.
Okay, go ahead.
The committee chairs are here, so they could certainly speak up if they don't agree.
I am all for that division. I think, like Kelly said, that's a perfect way to divide it. Divide the different portions of the grant amongst each other.
I also think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I'm in accord.
So for our, I would say for our committee reports, for our committee meetings next month, as well as for the expectation of committee reports this, our next meeting. I'm sorry, can you give me 1 second? I'm sorry. So for our committee reports and during the committee meetings, I think that it would be good for us to also focus on the I cannot think of the word, for everything that we just discussed just now. That will also be something that we need to focus on in our committee meetings. For our committee reports, I will set the expectation that we do have at least some conversations surrounding what we did just speak about. Yes, I think that's a reasonable expectation to have. Can we all commit to that for our committee meetings? We will discuss on, let's all make sure we do read through the document and we know everything that's going on, and we need to, for our next meeting, we come with a plan to wrap this up.
And Madam Chair, my recommendation is that you make ask for a motion from the floor.
I'll make the motion that we we use the division of labor that I suggested.
Kelly, can one of you, if you can't, can anybody state that? We need to kind of maybe be a little more formal.
I can.
Okay.
We recommend and we make a motion that the Public Relations Committee work on the report, the Community Relations Committee work on the Fairgrounds Farmers Market follow through, and the Government Committee works on the Housing Justice Act follow through.
I second that motion.
So Madam Chair, you can now call for the roll call vote.
Oh, okay. Summer Brown, yay. Summer Brown, Winston-Salem State University, yay. Kaylee, UNCSA.
Yay.
Osir Black, Forsyth Tech.
Yay.
Kelly, Salem College.
Yay.
Nathan, Forsyth Tech.
Yay.
Joseph Cox, Winston-Salem State.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So we will have our committees align with the policy committees, I guess we could say. For lack of better words, excuse me. And if that is all, I think this section of our meeting can be concluded. And we can move on to staff reminders and information, beginning with the fall newsletter.
All right, so the fall newsletter, obviously we're already at the end of October now, so it comes fast. And Nathan, since you are the public relations chair, this would fall under your committee. But I'm here to help as much as I can. I just will not write the articles. So I know that we had 2 people at International Village, so that would be a great article that someone could write. We also had our race relations forum in September, our student race relations forum, high school student race relations forum. And that is on YouTube. So if somebody would want to watch that and write an article about that, that's an option. If there's anything else that you all have been doing on your campus that you think is relevant to all college age students around, not college age, but college students around Winston-Salem, that's also options for articles. We will need those by December 1st. So that gives you some time for the November meeting to also kind of wrap that up and then turn in the articles with any pictures by December 1st. And then I will put that together unless Nathan would like to put it together. I'm more than willing to compile that into the newsletter.
Jamie, how many articles do you need? Do you want to give them ideas? Like they could submit articles about happenings or goings on their respective campuses, that type of thing?
Yes, I did just give some ideas, unless I was on Zoom, on mute, but I did give ideas. I know International Village, the student high school race relations, anything going on your campuses. Sid has written articles in the past. Maybe he could write about his studying abroad. That might be something to ask him about. We will need 3 to 4. Also, Summer, we do ask our chairperson to do a welcome, a letter from the chair for that first fall newsletter.
Okay, that's no problem.
And they can be anywhere from 300 words to 400 words. Don't make them too long. Just, we really do want pictures to go along with them as well. That makes it a little bit more interesting than just really dense text.
Right. Is there any way to provide an example for the fall newsletter?
Yes, my apologies. I will send you one of last year's. I will send that right now to you all. Do we have anybody right now, anyone right now that could think of something that you'd like to go ahead and get on the record that you would write an article about?
I can write one about the high school race relations forum.
And we just commemorated the Cherokee girls who attended Salem many, many, many years ago, and a plaque was placed on the grounds of Salem College. So I think that's something that we should include.
And Summer, thank you for asking your question about samples, and that is exactly what I meant. I do know that we did talk earlier about the High School Race Relations Forum and International Village, of course, being examples of topics, but clearly I was referring to other examples beyond, what we did with the High School Race Relations Forum and International Village. And so your question about having an example or something to go by from a previous newsletter, I think would probably allay a lot of your concerns. If anybody had any about, oh geez, how deep does this have to be? What's expected? I think that would help a lot. And then also some past examples is what I had in mind as well, about things that people have written about from their respective campuses, because we've had all kinds of interesting topics that were not necessarily things that CAB led, but they're things that our CAB members might have been involved in on their respective campuses. So that's exactly what I meant. So Summer, I'm glad that you did request the past newsletter or newsletters. I think it'll help a lot.
Mm-hmm. So the entire newsletter needs to be, like, the official final newsletter needs to be submitted by December 1st.
The articles along with pictures can be submitted by December 1st. And then once I turn that around, I'll send it out to everybody for any edits or proofing before we put it online.
Do we know when exactly the newsletter itself would be coming out?
We would have it out before the end of the semester. Well, maybe not the end of your school semester, but definitely before Christmas. So it would be done before December 15th.
Okay. And about, well, I can refer to the examples, but is there kind of I feel like you may have said it already. I'm sorry if I missed it. Is there a general amount of articles that are normally in it? And also, is there a limit to how many articles can be in it?
It's a front and back. So 3 articles in addition to the letter from the chair should be plenty.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, that's no problem. Okay, so for our next meeting, I would say, Nathan, once your committee has been built, you can relay this information to your committee, as well as establish amongst yourselves what your own specific deadlines will be. I won't give any definitive ones, especially because the articles themselves are due on December 1st. I think that can be mainly facilitated by you if you're comfortable.
I'm okay with that.
Okay. So we can move on to the November meeting schedule.
So you all hopefully will be available to meet in November. And if so, maybe the week preceding Thanksgiving. What do you think of that week? How are you looking schedule-wise?
Is there an issue with just having it on our last Tuesday, which is the 29th?
No, I don't think that should be an issue. I don't have the staff, our departmental calendar in front of me, but I can't think of anything that would prohibit that. So yeah, that is a good option. It could be after Thanksgiving.
Yes. Yes, because we did determine last meeting that it would be the last Tuesday of the month. So the last Tuesday would be the
Right.
week after Thanksgiving.
Right.
All right, and with that, would we have to move our committee meetings maybe that week beforehand? Because I know we said the Thursday before, but the Thursday before Thanksgiving, of course. So,
Yes.
should we move it to like the week before Thanksgiving or the Thursday before Thanksgiving?
Yes, I would say committee meetings would be November 18th for November. It would be November 18th, which is, the 17th. That's the Thursday before Thanksgiving. And then our CAB meeting will be the 29th.
If that's not too much of a gap, I mean, you all would have to decide that, vote on that to make sure it's good for everybody.
Sounds good to me.
Before we propose the motions, does that seem like something everyone would be fine with? I feel like the gap is fine as long as good notes are taken in the meeting so that when we do return for our general meetings, then we do have an effective committee report to report back. So the gap is fine, just make sure notes are good and thorough. If everyone is generally okay with it, I propose the motion to meet in November, to have our November committee meetings on November committee meeting, November 17th, and to meet as a general meeting for November 29th.
I second that motion.
Okay. Summer Brown, yay. Nathan?
Yay.
Forsyth Tech, sorry.
Yay.
Osir, Forsyth Tech.
Yay.
Kelly, Salem College.
Yay.
And Joseph, Winston-Salem State.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So our November meeting schedule, it has been finalized. And lastly, we have our upcoming events.
And Madam Chair, this is when anyone who's a member of CAB can share any upcoming events that they want everyone else to know about. Could be something on campus or anything you're involved in, or if the department has anything that would be good for CAB to know about or possibly attend, we would share that at this point as well.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you for the clarification.
You're welcome.
Does anybody have anything that they would like to make known to the College Advisory Board?
The Human Relations Department is a sponsor with Triad Cultural Arts on a pop-up exhibit at Union Station called Rooted in Race. And they will be open on Saturdays from, I think it's 10 to 2. So starting this Saturday. So for the next 3 Saturdays, the 29th, the 5th, and the 12th. And the 5th, they are doing a youth-focused event at that opening when it's open, and we can send a flyer out about it.
Okay, wonderful. If that flyer is it possible to have that flyer sent out after the meeting concludes?
I think we have a finalized one. If not, then I will send it as soon as possible.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
For upcoming events, I know that currently actually, like as we speak, there's currently a March to the Polls going on here at Winston-Salem State University. So if you're not, if you're registered to vote, or you need to register to vote and you would like to vote, feel free to come out. it'll be going on until 7 o'clock, from 4 to 7. It's 5 now, so it'll be on to 7 p.m. today.
Also, Winston-Salem State University does have a voting site on campus located in the Anderson Center that is open to the public, not just Winston-Salem State students. I'm sure that may be a little more convenient for the other schools in the surrounding areas. So I do want to take note of that. Jamie, also for the examples of the newsletters, will that be emailed as well?
Yes, I'm actually working on that right now.
Okay.
So we'll get it shortly.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
If that is all for the upcoming events, we can adjourn our meeting. Thank you all for coming. For everyone who's watching, thank you all for watching. And we will meet again next month. Do take note of our committee meetings, which we schedule for the 17th. I just said it. How did I forget? That's scheduled for the 17th. And then our next meeting will be on the 29th of November. If that is all, our meeting is adjourned.